Hello again, welcome back to Asgard, and welcome back to Enigmatica 6 Expert. So it's been a little bit of time since the last episode. I wanted to go ahead and start on this episode. I've been just kind of working on laying out some of this. Our bees have been running good. I've moved this tank over here to kind of act as a sort of an in-between. I haven't really had any issue with it running out of honey, but if it does, because right now I'm literally just running illuminating honey because I've been getting a lot of it. Though probably after this episode we'll probably get a bit less of it, so we may adjust and go with a different honey after this episode, and then maybe start moving into congealers if we have time. Right now I do have these kind of all set up with a few alloys. There is still some additional ones that we will want to make, and yeah, I did set up steel in here because the mixer's great, but here pretty soon, and this I need to change that over, but I haven't ran it, so I never noticed that it set the wrong one. That's the only thing about pretty pipes. A lot of times it will set stuff that you maybe don't want, so always check it and make sure it's getting the correct materials that you want it to get. But I wanted to pop you guys in. We'll probably cut a few times this episode, but I wanted to pop you guys in because I am ready to automate something that we're going to start needing substantially. So what I've done, I have set up a deployer here. Let me go ahead and run a couple shafts over. And actually, I don't have much lava left in here. I knew I was probably getting close, but what I want to do, you can probably guess, you can see Sandpaper. I've got this in a medium retrieval, and we're going to be automating Sandpaper, and that way it can pull it over at its wheel. I did remove the chest here with the funnel. We're going to be totally getting rid of that. I set the extraction to only extract insulating glass, and I've set up a couple crafting modules, and we're gonna automate two things here. First up, rose quartz. I want to go ahead and set up that recipe there. Rose quartz makes polished rose quartz, and then the other one is actually going to be this recipe right here. So if you send insulating glass, you're going to get circuit backplane. We don't have to worry about the other items that go into it because these are already requesting it. So that way our circuit backplanes are automated, and our polished rose quartz, because we're going to start needing a lot of polished rose quartz. Now over here, we're going to go ahead and just set up an extraction, and we're going to say disallow and the insulating glass. Extract everything other than insulating glass, and we'll go ahead and put the speed in there that was left over from the chest. And then we can just plug that up. And then the next thing, before we order it, I've got a few in here. Let's go ahead and take a look at mechanism at this point. I would like to go ahead and order, let me get the stuff for, let me go ahead and order 3 sets of the ingredients here. And by the way, if you want to order more, control is 10 and shift is a stack whenever you click request. So. And I want to go ahead and make some crafting formulas. I'm going to start with just 8 because we're actually going to be automating these, because it is very much doable for us. Is we are going to be making over time a bunch of formulaic assemblicators. But you will notice I did shift our corporea and set up factory droppers instead of, or factory hoppers instead of basic droppers. That's because I noticed that the wireless redstone, whenever I automated this, it was actually basically shutting off the other one when it was, like, for example, my sticks were getting filled and I wasn't getting enough planks, and it was actually shutting off the other one. I was thinking the wireless links, the redstone links, wouldn't send through blocks. I thought it was a low signal, not a high signal, but it is actually a high signal. So it does go through the corporea funnels, and it can also shut off the sparks too. So I just shifted this up, and that way it won't shut off the corporea funnels. And I also, since that's the case, I went ahead and got just 1 redstone link powering all of this instead of needing, 3 on that. So just kind of cleaned up a little bit back there. And the way we have this set up, by the way, I'm actually running it off the same timer, but I got the redstone pin. I went ahead and crafted that, and that way I could run this between these 2 comparators and just run it all off the same timer. It has been keeping us stocked on wood, but of course, redstone pin, you can target, bring out your redstone, and then you can remove it, like basically erase it. Nice little tool for when you're running redstone, of course. And at this point, we are going to disassemble our mechanical crafters that are over here. I actually need these to finish a quest anyways. And the next time we set these up, we're going to be setting them up in a more permanent location. But for now, I just need these. I'll end up crafting a few more, but I'm going to be automating crafting of them before I set them up again. So we're going to use these today to help us out. There is our very first formulaic assemblicator. And we will be automating these, like I said, here pretty soon. Yeah, we're out of steel now. It looks like we're going to have to push on to steel maybe sooner than I expected or anticipated. We're not going to be able to set up a ton of these because I'm running out of steel at this point. I mean, we could always push on to steel bees. You know, we could have last episode, but I want to at least have to make some steel before I push on to steel bees. And same with alloy bees and stuff like that. So, okay, so what we'll do, I guess next to this, because I'm probably only going to have 5 induction smelters. That should cover for now. There'll be a small change to it a little bit later, but for now this should be good. And we'll just set up our formulaic assemblicator back here. We'll put pipe there, and then we'll just put our formulaic assemblicator here. For the side, the back, I want this to be output. The top is going to be input. We're going to leave auto eject off. We don't need it. And we're going to put in a crafting formula in here. And what I'm going to teach it how to make. Say that if you send 8 redstone and, which technically I could use JEI for this. You do that. This is going to make something, right? So we're going to go ahead and encode that formula. And we're going to set stock control as on. And we're going to say auto mode is on. So this way it can start creating rose quartz. We got to get servos automated. We're going to be moving to that. We're going to go ahead and get a medium crafting module. Drop that in there. It's only going to be the one recipe. And we're going to teach it how to make this right here. That's how you make rose quartz. And then at this point we can go ahead and plug this up. So now if we take a look at rose quartz, we can order both rose quartz and polished rose quartz. So what I'd like to do, I'd like to request, let's say 4 polished rose quartz. What we should see happen is the quartz and the redstone is going to come up here any second now. There they go. And you can see it's going to go ahead and start crafting these. And then if we pop over, oh, whoops. Wait a second, did I not? Oh, I need to set this to disallow. So don't pull out insulating glass or rose quartz. Okay, so we know that the crafting is working just fine from this. But we messed that up. Let me cancel that. Okay, now let me order 4 of these now. And we pop over, we should see them automatically coming over to the deployer. You saw that they tried, they just got pulled out by the pipe. And then the deployer will then polish them for us, and we will get our polished quartz. Okay, it broke the sandpaper. That one I think only had like 1 or 2 charges. So it's going to be waiting on more sandpaper. I don't have a crafting recipe set up for sandpaper just yet, but I am going to be adding one to the formulaic so that this is going to be able to request sandpaper. And then we'll set up a recipe too for paper. There we go. And there's all of our polished quartz. And then from there, of course, I can automate and say, teach it how to make the electron tubes. And then we'll be able to use the electron tubes to automate, for example, crafting formulas and automate the stuff for the formulaic assemblicator. The brass gears, I may temporarily automate them, but probably what I'll do is I'll just wait till we get the multi-servo, because we're not that far from it. But we're going to start setting up formulaics. They don't take a whole lot of power. They only handle 1 recipe. Long term, we probably will move over to RF Tools crafters, because we can handle 8 recipes through one of those. And once again, they don't take a whole lot of power and they craft real fast. But we'll keep these. There's no harm in us making, say, a stack of formulaic assemblicators. Get a lot of things automated early on. Later on, we'll automate more with the RF Tools crafters. Of course, there is crafty crates. They're gated, and they're gated long enough into the pack that they're probably not going to be a ton of use for us. Plus, they are especially under heavy stress, they're going to be a little bit more laggy than something like this because they are dropping those items into the world, and you know, stuff's happening in world. So we'll probably stick with our formulaics for crafting since we are on a server, you know. And I did lay out 4 more apiaries, so we're going to have 2 there, 2 there, and then 4 in here. I know it probably looks like right now that it's going to be crowded, but I have a plan for these that I think is going to be kind of nice. Once everything's all said and done, these are going to be set up almost like exhibits. And some of the bees that are in this one will get shifted. That's why I haven't decorated this one out just yet, because, like, for example, this one may end up being like the end exhibit. And so we'll kind of build out the inside and probably the roof too to be kind of end themed. And then, you know, we'll have one that's nether, one that's like metal bees, maybe 2, but I don't know. We'll try to organize them. I mean, there might be some overlap or bees in weird places, but we'll try to organize them in a way that logically makes sense and make little nice sort of unique areas for our bees. But for right now, we're just trying to get by. And I'll be stealing a little bit of stuff from over in R's area over there. I'll be replacing a lot of it. But for now, it just makes it a little bit easier as well. Until we get things automated a bit. So, but anyways, today what we're going to be doing is we're going to be setting up for automatic lava. And I think due to cobble gens tending to be pretty laggy in 1.16, that's why I don't have mine chunk loaded over there. We are probably going to be setting up stone bees, because I will be wanting stone bees for our automatic lava setup today as well. Or I want stone coming in. So I think we're going to do it through bees because they're less laggy than a cobble gen. So I'll probably be getting that apiary there up and running today as well. As well as probably adding in another woody bee into that one, because we will benefit from having 2 woody bees for our stuff today. Okay, I went ahead and ran out of space. I'm going to put walls up here. I don't know that we're going to use the entire space, but it's basically 10 blocks in each direction that we've got here. And then in the very center, we've got some mossy cobble. Now, some of you probably know where this is about to head, but if you don't, we are actually going to be making ourselves a Drygme Charm. Now, I've got some Drygme shards over there. You can see that if you don't have some, you can just give a Drygme a wilden horn. They're fairly common out in the wild. Now, we have to get a couple things together. Most of this is pretty straightforward. I don't think that I have any moose antlers, though. It wouldn't be bad for us to maybe try to get at least 4 of these. Or 5 of these, I mean. I do not have any moose antlers, but I know where to find them fairly easily. And we're also going to need a thief's hood for each of these. I've been picking up the thief's hoods that I come across, but I may have to wait until I do, you know, a little bit more looting. I do have 5, so we will be able to do the 5 that I'd like to get without too much issue. Now let's head over. Like I said, I've been picking those up on site. Let's head over to a cold area, and we should be able to get some moose horns fairly easily. But of course, I am going to need 10 of them. Now, the wolf pelts aren't an issue because we picked up a ton of those just as loot while we were in Adam. Yeah, right here's one. So let's go ahead. Let's grab our big fortune. Let me change this to a harm spell for the purposes of this. That is not going to one-shot them, but it actually doesn't require a ton of mana, so these guys have got some health. Actually, the next one, I think I'm going to soften it up before I do this. Oh no, how did you not take damage? There we go. We got moose ribs. Okay. Okay, we got more moose ribs. Okay, do we need... Okay, luckily Apparition's base is nearby. I had to go back and get my soul gem. It is a shedding effect. But yeah, we're going to have to set these up and let them hopefully shed their antlers. I'll take 2 for now. I don't really need more than that because I'm actually going to end up killing one of these fairly soon. We could breed these and get more babies, but I actually just need 2 antlers to get started, and then basically we'll be able to expand our Drygmes passively after that. And I'm actually going to end up killing one of these. I only want 1 moose, I think, long term, because I don't want a ton of animals. You know, they cause a lot of lag, but so we'll just be starting off with 1 Drygme Charm for now. I may actually get another one. Gonna be a little bit of cramming here, but that's okay. I might even get one more. Just because the faster, it's basically going to increase our chances, and we want to try to get our 2 horns. I know that you can get them as loot too, because I remember coming across a couple, and thinking, well, I can get, because I just assumed. I've never, some of the Alex's mobs I've bred, but not, and kept, but not moose. And I knew where some were, so I was like, well, I'll just get them later. I'll just kill them. It's no big deal. With Fortune, because I didn't have a ton of inventory space at the time, and I left them behind. So that's on me. That's my fault. But that's okay, because we got some other stuff we need to set up before we can get our mooses up and going anyways. So we are going to be making a volcanic source link to provide this with source, which is going to require a lava crystal, lava reagents. But I want to say we got one from a quest, right? I don't think I've sorted it. Yes, we do. We do have one. I thought so. We got this from a quest at some point. But after this episode is recorded, I'll be able to basically just take, a couple days. Oh, it's the other way around. I'll be able to take a couple days and just kind of build and organize and get some basic things automated. So by the next episode, we should be a lot more organized. We're kind of still in that in-between stage, and kind of working to sort of escape that stage. And you gotta love my enchanting apparatus on top of the ceiling here. Then long term we'll probably expand and have a couple of these, but for right now I'm just going to have the single volcanic source link. So what we're going to do, we're going to have, I've got a couple source jars here, two should be fine. And let's see, right here is the lava system. So I kind of want to set it up somewhere over sort of in this direction, or midway is between this and that. Yeah, that would actually work. Let's do our source jars here and here. We're going to do our volcanic source link setting here. Just between the two is fine. And then we're also going to want a pedestal. And you're probably wondering, why did I make so many pedestals? It was because originally I was going to organize the library in a little bit different way, but it would have been too cumbersome to use, realistically. So then I decided against it and went with a different setup, basically. I tell you what. No, let me grab this. And then what I can do is put the mossy cobble here and make the floor raised. And then we'll put the source jars behind it. And then we'll have the arcane pedestal setting right here. And we're going to go ahead and plug up a pipe onto the back of the arcane pedestal. Oh, actually, this one just threw off its antlers. You can see that it doesn't have any. It's going to have to regrow them now. But we do have a moose antler from that one. But it takes a few days for them to regrow them, and it takes a few days for them to lose them. So we're going to have to just kind of keep them around, basically. For a minute. I just need 2 to get started, and then we can easily get a bunch more. It also does mean that we don't need this moose anymore, so I'm going to go ahead and just kill it off. But while we're waiting on those, we can go ahead and get the setup in place. Now, we're going to go ahead and set ourselves up a... What am I missing? Missing a little of everything. We're going to get a small fluid collection funnel. Now, originally I was planning on doing this with the factory block placer, but there is an update. Right now it's in beta. But after checking the changelog, it does remove factory block placer because apparently it could bypass game stages. So we're not going to be going with that. I'm going to have to do a little bit of work to get what we're going to be using instead. We're going to come down to here, and we're going to put the fluid collection funnel right there. We're going to put this in right here. The only concern right now is I'm not going to have enough mechanical pipes to run this, and I'm out of steel. Actually, yeah, I may have to move the lava manually a little bit until we get steel, which we're going to be able to get steel next episode. But even just having lava coming in will be all right. But we're going to have a comparator run out right here. Right there, or... No. We'll actually have the comparator run out right here, I think. And then what we're going to do is we're going to put a corporeal funnel in right here, coming right off the comparator, corporeal spark on top of that. And remember that if a corporeal funnel does not have an inventory below it, which this one does not, it's going to throw its items on top of itself. So then we're just going to put our item frame right here, and we're going to put stone. We're not going to rotate this. We just want one piece of stone to come through. And I can go ahead and block this off because that's going to be a pillar underneath that. And we'll clean all this up once we get the setup in place before we start the Drygmes. Because I'm going to cut here shortly and do a little bit of building to get the walls and stuff up. And this is going to be kind of sitting on like a, not really an altar, but a thing. It's going to be sitting on a thing. But let's go ahead now, at this point, and we're actually going to be touching a little bit on Botania progression, just slightly. And that's because the factory placer, like I said, is not going to be a thing anymore. And this is the other option that I would like to use. And plus it'll go good with our Corporea. So what we're going to do is we're going to get ourselves a Runic Altar. Now this does require a conduit, but other than that, I mean, this is all very, very craftable for us. Okay, and I moved our natural altar. I was planning on doing this soon anyways, but I did go ahead and move it because we actually ran out all the extra aura that was over there. We'll get it moved to a permanent place and then hopefully get aura generation up and going here pretty soon. Luckily, we've got plenty of firmament. Do I want to go ahead and just request 8 and try to pull that off? So we do have aura here. I don't know. I mean, I don't want to completely drain it out, but luckily at this point, I mean, we could move on to aura generation. It's just we haven't pressed that just yet. And hopefully we've got the starlight in this area. If not, I may have to move midnight, but... Oh, actually, the lava crystal, it's not consumed when you make the volcanic. No, it looks like our moose. Let's set this here for now. I was going to move that over. I'm going to be making a couple more of those. There's our other moose antler. Okay, so we'll get our Drygme Charm in just a moment. But we'll go ahead and set that right there. I've still got to make the staff. I've just got to go to the nether. I've just been waiting for night to hit. I mean, we could make a hammock. I've got other things that I can do, so it doesn't bother me. Okay, we're starting to get starlight. The starlight here is so bad. Now, I know we could go up higher Y level, but it doesn't make much of a difference here. What about with the star collector that's here? Yeah, I think I can pull this off. We'll do it right here, and we'll get our Runic Altar. There is our Runic Altar. There we go. Alright, so let's go ahead. Of course, we don't have mana gen right now, but we have enough mana to make a rune. I just need, like, one craft. We're going to go Worm, Shiverstone, Basalts, Mana Steel, Mana Powder, Blank Rune. And that's going to get it going. These take a bit of mana, it looks like. We got plenty, but they take more than normal. We're going to be doing a big mana setup soon. And automating Botania soon. But I haven't, like, really officially pushed into Nature's Aura and Botania and Occultism. And I just don't want to run off without tech. And it's like, well, I want to automate these things. It's overdue. But, there we go. Actually, I'll just leave this over here. Okay, so now with that, we can make ourselves a Ranning Carpus. We're just going to need some redstone root. Takes K. Oh, that's interesting. Redstone root, 2 orange, and a yellow. We're going to have to actually set up a farm for cave root in that case, because you use redstone root a lot. It's easy to farm it, but it's definitely something that we're going to have to do. That's like we're going to be setting up a corundum farm in an upcoming episode. It's not going to take very long, but we're going to be setting up a corundum farm that's going to be, I think, a bit of fun to set up. At least it's going to be fun to watch it run. There's actually an apotheosis tower here. Somebody's looted it, but I'm curious because we could get another soul gem out of it. And if so, that would be actually really, really nice for us. Blacker Lotus, intermediate cutting fluid. I'll take that because it might come in handy. Oh, wow, 19 arcane gold. Lifesteal on a sword. Yeah, we'll definitely take that arcane gold. That's a really good find. Oh, there's a corundum cave here. I don't need either of these colors, though. Actually, kind of surprised I'm not seeing cave root. But I really like seeing that being used, because normally it's one of those things that, like, piles up on you and you have no use for it. And I've probably gotten some before and just thrown it down, because I'm not used to packs actually using cave root. Like, there's all these, like, really obscure resources. And things are set up in a way where normally we would be, like, automating a lot of these things by now. But, like, getting into, like, actual heavy automation, it takes a lot more work on here. In a good way, you know. Oh, it's an occultism area. If I had some demon dream fruit, I could mine up a lot of occult stone from here, but I'm not that worried about it because we're actually going to have all that automated. Because this is occultism wood, and then all this andesite's going to be occultism stone. Zuvrock. Okay, this will be a good time for affliction, I think. Yeah, there we go. That's how to kill bosses with a lot of health. Yeah, I may just craft it. I mean, my inventory is getting filled, but it was, you know, it was worth it. We popped our head out and we found some good stuff, but I'm not seeing cave root. But yeah, we'll just drop it in here, our natural altar, and we'll let that charge up and get us some cave root. There we go. And then while we're here, I'm going to go ahead, go up here, because there's Warp Forest and then Crimson Forest past that. So we need a couple of those things for our Drygme Charms. And our very first cave roots, I'm going to just put these down over here for the time being. That's something I've noticed about this pack. There's so many like little things, and you kind of work your way up to where you can kind of start automating things and auto crafting and handling storage. And by then, you're like knee deep in so many things to automate. It's like, oh, where do I begin? Because there's a lot of like these little mechanics that usually aren't used, and I love it. I absolutely love it, because most packs, you literally automate like 5 things, you know. It's basically just like general machines and a little bit of magic. But this pack, you're automating all these like really obscure things. You know, like I never expected I was going to need moose antlers, so I never picked them up. I think I've thrown down cave root, never, you know, I didn't look that far ahead on recipes, so I was like, I probably won't need this. Like no pack ever uses cave root, but it does, and I love it. I love it so much. Okay, and these actually are responsive to bone meal, so we can just bone meal them. There's some cave root, but we're going to be setting these up for actual automation. But since they respond to bone meal, they should respond to like some kind of growth accelerant, like maybe blood magic or something. So that's worth noting too. We'll definitely be taking advantage of that. Whoops, not that. That. Our earth rune and the phyto grow. Yeah. And there we go. We're going to get ourselves a Runic Carpus. And then let's go ahead and get ourselves a pasture seed. Let's get a glimmering flower. And just because floating flowers are always cooler, let's go ahead and get a floating magenta flower and turn this into a floating Runic Carpus. And then let's go ahead and get our Staff of Ancient Knowledge. There's that. Then we can get our Drygme crafted up. 2 moose antlers, 2 wolf pelts, 2... I bet it's the Thief's Hood messing it up, because it's not like a full durability one, and it's enchanted. I can always take the enchantment off and repair it, especially once we get Nature's Aura up and going, but... So let's try it now. Perfect. Yeah, so it has to be full durability. I don't know for sure about enchantments, but probably... It's probably going to require that it be unenchanted, so... but that's going to complete our quest for us, and now we can set up our Drygme. Now, before we do that, though... let's go ahead. Let's see, what block? Probably just go with like a glowstone. And we want it to be a glowstone that we're not using anywhere else. Let's take this one. I actually like this one for the little altar setup that I have in mind. Alright, so what we're going to do is we're going to put glowstone in right here, because I'm actually going to have it collect based on the flowing aspect of it. And that way we don't have to make a fluid collection funnel and set the Runic Carpus up on top of it. Because the nice thing about this is it can collect fluid. Like if fluid flows over the top of it, it's going to look for the source block and suck that up. So I don't have to make 2 of these. It just makes it a little bit cheaper for me. And then right back here, we're going to set up our Runic Carpus. It should be able to see the blocks placed down by the Corporeal Spark. So if I set down like a Mechanical Crafter, does it see that? Yeah. And you can see it grabs the Mechanical Crafter and sets it down right over here. Okay, now at this point, what we need to do, I'm going to cut for a little bit, and I'm going to build out this little altar, put some walls up, and then I'm going to set up probably our rocky bee. I mean, do I have any bees in here that maybe I could live without for a little bit? Yeah, I tell you what, the city bee, I'm going to take it out. And that's just going to make our lives a little bit easier. Let's take that. And that way we can start... Oh, I never noticed. It's 100% on the breeding on here. Wow, I'm not used to that. And let's just put our first smooth stone down. Actually, let's make our Renin Carpus do it. That's its job. There you go. I'm going to place that right there. Okay, so at this point, I need to build out this room a little bit, basically. So I'll be back here in just a minute. Oh, and good news, I forgot that I had unlocked the Ender Chest spell, because I was looking at these, and I was like, man, I can't wait till I get these. But then I had been waiting on the Ender spell and totally forgot that I had made it, you know, because it was when I was making a big bunch of bulk spells. So we do actually have our toolbox unlocked now, because I do like keeping all of our tools in our Ender Chest system, which actually cleans out my inventory a lot, because I've been carrying so many tools on me. Okay, so basically, I went over to the end portal, and there was a spawner over there, like a drowned dungeon thing, and I got some dark prismarine. Because I've been wanting to bring some dark prismarine and some prismarine into the build, because it just goes so good with sandstone, but I didn't want to do that until we got our guardians up and going, which we're about to do. So I'm going to build out the rest of the altar once I get dark prismarine up and going. But I got the most important part. I got this framed in so you can see our stone down there and our fluid collector down there. So what we're going to do at this point is we're going to set up our volcanic source link. We'll just have it... I'm going to set it up right here. I think that's plenty close. And of course, well, no, because the pedestal... Let's see. Can you see that? It may not be close enough for the pedestal. These things have a very, very limited range when it comes to their pedestal. Okay, well, we'll hold out on that for just a second. Let me put my moose in. But at this point, what we're going to do, let's grab ourselves... We're going to go mob hunting in just a second, but let's grab ourselves some blazing archwood. Blazing archwood log. Let's grab some honeycomb. And we're going to be needing the woody honeycomb in this case. Let me go ahead and get a little bit more. And then let's get ourselves some beeswax. I had considered doing a create tree farm, but they're so laggy. We've already had issues with them on the server. Create tends to be laggy. I've had issues with it on single player, and we've had issues with it on the server, so I'm trying not to go too crazy with create because of that. So what we're going to do, we're actually going to automate wood through honeycombs, and this is why we're probably going to have a lot less woody honeycombs, and then whenever I set up a second apiary, I'm probably going to set up a second woody bee, because we're going to be using quite a bit of woody honeycombs. Though not that much. Honestly, one would probably be fine, but what we're going to do, we're going to set up in our formulaic assembler, we're going to set up a couple of recipes here. First up, we're going to set up a recipe for blazing archwood saplings. This right here. Let's go ahead and encode the formula. We're going to say stock control is on. And we're going to set up a crafting recipe here for that. That's how you make 4 blazing archwood saplings. And then we're going to set this to auto mode on. And then let's go ahead and get ourselves a stack limiter. And we're actually going to be stocking with this. We're going to be stocking through Pretty Pipes, because this is part of our Pretty Pipes network. Let's come over. Let me put blazing archwood in right here, the saplings. And on the pipe that's behind this, which once we set up the drawer controller, we will keep a pipe on this. We'll just run it over and plug it in. But let's go ahead. Let's put a low retrieval module. And let's say blazing archwood. And then let's put a stack limiter into this. And let's say 128. So always keep 128 blazing archwood. Okay, it looks like it's pulling it from somewhere. It should start requesting crafts of it to keep itself stocked. Oh, and then let's put this as the top as the input. I forgot I didn't change this over. And there you go. Now you know how to make blazing archwood. So now it should be able to start requesting it. Okay, well, let me try this. I wonder if it's going to try to cycle the item. Nope, it sends it out. I'll have to keep an eye on that, but that might work. Because it can't, of course, it can't input and output from the same node. So a second connection does the trick. And so it should be crafting them. I want to make sure that that is getting lots of blazing archwood and it's keeping stocked. There we go. Now we're in business. And throw that in. And it should be requesting some woody honeycomb now. Let me cancel that. I don't know what it's trying to do there. There we go. Now we're crafting blazing archwood. And it should keep crafting until it has about a stack. That works then. Put it on the drawer, but give it a second connection. I didn't think about that at first. We got 49, we got 53. I want to make sure that a stack stays in here at the bare minimum. Maybe bump it up to 2 stacks. Might not be a bad idea. Yeah, let's do that. Let's keep 2 stacks. We want to always have some stocked of the saplings. We don't want to run out of the saplings because we're going to need the saplings to craft the wood. But we have 2 stacks in there. That's perfect. Okay. Basically just finding our ways to automate because, you know, it's a little bit different. But I do think Pretty Pipes is going to be just as good as anything else once we just get it all sorted out, you know. Okay, so now we can do the blazing archwood. And I want to automate this recipe right here. We're going to go ahead and encode that one and say stock control is on. And this is going to make blazing archwood for us. And then for this recipe here, we're going to say that's how you make 8 blazing archwood. Because we are going to be burning this. Now, we could burn coal realistically and run that, but we're going to automate blazing archwood. I love these recipes for the woody honeycomb because we can make like most every wood, but we need the sapling. So it's kind of like a double step, keep things stocked sort of game. But this is going to allow us to auto craft the blazing archwood. Because when the volcanic source link, whenever it burns blazing archwood, it gets a small boost. It makes blazing archwood as good, maybe a little better than coal. So that'll be quite nice for us. Let's grab ourselves a retrieval module. I think we'll probably go ahead and upgrade it, I think. I like making the high tiers for most things, unless it's things that really they're not going to have a chance of overflowing. For example, the sand area, it's never going to overflow anything. Because the stuff going through there, it moves pretty slow. So we don't have to worry about that, but stuff that's going a long distance and moving fast, I want it to have that overflow protection. So we're going to put that in there, and we're going to put blazing archwood logs. So it should be able to pull from the system, but I do have to plug this up real quick. Probably the best thing here, I need to get the shrink mod up and going. You know, we used that on Stacia, or we showed it off more so. I didn't really need it much in Stacia. I also need range on my chest piece too. I think it's chest piece that takes range, I want to say. Let's go ahead. Let's run this over. We'll plug that in. And then I've got one more thing I've got to set up here, which is the fluid tank, which I'm not going to have the pipes to do much with this. So for right now, what I'm going to do, I'm going to run this out. And since this is going to have to be manual until I get a little bit more steel. So there's really no way around that. So what we're going to do for right now is have it come out the ceiling. Very, very temporary, but it's got to be done. Just until I get the steel to do this. And basically what's going to happen is when the lava comes through here, it's going to quickly get pumped out. Now, right now there is a chance, and it's very, very likely, that this will have to be reset each day, because what's going to happen is this is going to fill up with lava. This tank is going to fill up with lava. I could put maybe 4 tanks around it, and it would last a little bit longer. And then I'll have to manually move the lava over, but at least I don't have to go to the nether and get it myself. But until I get the mechanical pipes to run it over to that room, this will probably be the best bet, I think. And then I'll probably get the shrink mod up and going just so I can run it a little bit easier. But what's going to happen is the lava is going to get sucked up by this, immediately go into this, which is going to trigger the comparator, activate the corporeal funnel, request stone. That way it can replace the stone that's dropped, because we don't want to replace the stone over the lava. You know, we want to make sure it's pumped up before we put down the new stone. And then that's going to immediately get shuffled off to a tank, which is going to end the redstone signal and basically reset it, because we need a pulse to activate the corporeal funnel. And then, of course, the raining carpus will grab the new stone that's requested by the corporeal network, drop it down, and then the whole cycle will repeat. And if we take a look right here, you can see there is archwood in this. So what we're going to do is we're going to set up our volcanic source link. I don't know, because that's going to be a really far distance Y level. There's a part of me, honestly, that's thinking, remove this, place the volcanic here. You can see it's making source at the moment. And then we would have the mossy cobble on top, and then we could use our Drygme Charm. We'll use that in just a second, though. But now at this point, what we need to do is we have to go out and collect ourselves mobs. I want to have at least one mob before we put our Drygme Charm in, but the very first mob we're going to get is going to be a blaze, because we're going to be doing our elemental creatures through this. Now, I know there's bees. Also, wither skeletons, we're going to be getting those in here too. But we're going to be doing our elementals through here. I know there's bees for them. But I don't want to just overuse bees, you know? I don't want to just do bees. That's the only thing, like mystical agriculture and bees, I always feel like they're always highly prioritized or highly built around, but they're just so boring to just do all of our resources through that, and I'd rather have some Drygmes going, you know? Let's get... Bees are just like the new mystical agriculture, but they're cute, at least. So they do have that going for themselves, but I don't want to just use bees. This is going to be so boring if I do. Let's go ahead and name our blaze, of course, so he doesn't despawn. So we're going to have the mighty blaze Ragnaros in here. And so we'll just put him... well, actually, I should probably not do this. Because basically what I've done is I've built him like a perfect little place to just shoot me the whole time I'm in this room. So we'll do it here. I will probably end up filling in the bottom of this, but this is just kind of for access purposes. And then we'll go ahead and name Ragnaros. Ragnaros the Blaze. And so at this point, you can see this is generating source for us. We've got... These already had 5%, but we've got 23%. It might honestly be worth it to set this up so that it sends so much maybe to a chest, and then that gets pumped into here, because it's going to take a while doing it one at a time like this. So I might do that. I think I can put factory hoppers upside down. If not, there's other options. But we can do our Drygme Charm at this point, and we just right click that, and it's going to turn into a Drygme hinge, and it's going to create our very first little Drygme. Aren't they cute? I love these. These guys are fairly newer to ours. I think they've been around for like 2 months or something like that. And this is kind of our first opportunity to really get to play with them. Not really our first opportunity, but it's the first time we're getting to play with them in a series. But the Drygme, basically, he does this little dance, and he's going to need a chest too. I should probably get that. So we're going to put the chest in right here. And basically what happens is after he gets done dancing enough, it'll create... basically mob drops from every mob that's within his range, which is about 10 blocks from his hinge that he's going to check for mobs. 10 blocks in every direction, so you can take it vertical if you want. And we may end up taking it vertical, because I kind of got this corner of the pyramid that I can use. So I'll probably take some cages vertical and have them hanging if I need that many mobs. And of course we can double up and stuff. Like I'm going to have some guardians in like a little aquarium. I'm going to have our blazes along the back wall, some wither skeletons, stuff like that. But every mob that's in his area, he can grab items from. And he can basically pull them in. And that's going to also include boss mobs, worth noting. So things like the wither or the masticator, we can set them up in this room, and we will be. And he's just going to passively generate from those. Now, the meet your fight bosses, they're kind of... they can move through blocks, so they're a little bit more tricky to try to do those. But we will be setting up a few boss mobs in here that we can then pull off of. Now, if we had additional Drygmes, or if we had additional creatures, it would speed him up. He becomes basically happier. The more creatures he has and the more Drygmes that there are, the faster they run together. So having 5 or 6 Drygmes, even 10 Drygmes, it speeds things up a lot. And it's kind of like almost infinitely scalable. And it's kind of like the Sylph, where the more variety that we have within this room, the happier that he's going to get. And every time that he finishes his dance, it's going to consume a little bit of source. Actually, we just drop down. He may have actually finished it. But then the other half of the system, you can see that the volcanic source link, as it runs, it generates heat and it generates source. It doesn't generate a ton of source, but it generates enough source for us. And if this keeps consistently running, without me having to speed this up, I mean, really I'm going to have to before it's all said and done, because we're going to be speeding up the Drygme. He's going to be using source faster. So yeah, I'm going to have to basically put the blazing wood a little bit closer to this. But this is going to basically generate heat. It's going to turn stone into magma, magma into lava. So it'll take a little bit right now because it's taking a little while for the items to get over here and the source to get generated, but it's going to passively start making us lava. And once we scale out, it's going to take a minute to scale it out, but once we get everything scaled out, it should be fast enough to upkeep the stuff that we have that needs lava. There is a tank, and we can take this tank now, and we can just attach it right there. So once that lava gets made, it'll whoop, right into there. Now, right now, it's taking him a long time to get his dance done. So at this point, I need to go out and I need to go monster collecting, basically. I need to go, I'm probably going to get a wither skeleton, a basal's, a blitz, a bliaz, you know, try to get a nice little variety in there. Okay, here's one thing I was wanting to find, a nautilus. Found it down here in the ocean. I'm going to snag that. Let's pop back over to our pyramid. This has been running for a bit. And I'm going to clean up these cages a little bit and stuff. But you can see we do have our elementals in here and our wither skeleton. And I did make one adjustment. I moved this back. And I just have this running through a repeater. And I have this coming up into a factory hopper. That way it stocks a lot more blazing archwood. And it causes us to run a whole lot better. Also, this is kind of just temporary. It's an extraction module extracting everything but blazing archwood, because when I only had one coming in at a time, it was starting to get items from this, but it shouldn't be an issue anymore. But I moved the corporeal funnel back because it was actually feeding into the factory hopper there. But you can see that we have a bunch of items coming in. Of course, these experience gems, we can just eat these, and we can hold shift and right click to eat a whole thing of them. And then, of course, these give more experience. But you can see we're getting a lot of this stuff in, and it's going to get faster. The more Drygmes we have, and the more mob variety that we have, the faster it's going to get. And if you want to take a look at our lava system, which I did actually get a little lava out of this earlier just to run it. But you can see we've got 6,000 millibuckets in here at the moment. Now let me go ahead. I'm still looking for guardians right now, but let me get a name tag. And we're going to name this one Shuckle. And we have this little aquarium area here. I'll be sprucing this up a little bit more. And I'll be sprucing up some of these cages and stuff a little bit more too. But we're going to take and we're going to put in our nautilus right in here. Shuckle. Shuckle the nautilus, and he'll be able to see Shuckle the nautilus, and he'll be able to start getting us nautilus shells. Of course, we do have the little fishing system, which I have it turned off right now, because the whales kept destroying the dock and all that, and I was going to redo the storage, but now we might just farm our nautilus this way, and I can always add another one, and that'll kind of increase the amount coming in. It's not going to count for creature variety, but it will increase the amount of nautilus shells that we do have coming in generally. But I think one is probably going to be good. I know I've got a few people on the server that want some, but I think one will probably be enough after it sits and runs for a little bit. Okay, and he actually just okay, this is insanity. He actually just harvested the nautilus for the first time. We got 4 shells off of a single harvest of the nautilus. So good. As you can tell, I mean, these guys are basically sylphs for mobs. I love them. I love them. But like I said, it's my first. They've been out for a little bit. They were out for Spellbound, but we went a little bit different route for our mobs. And so this is my first series where I'm getting to use them finally. You know, like outside of like Test World, and I love it. Awesome. Zarani has a monument for us, and of course we don't actually need much out of here. It looks like Zarani's cleared it out, which is fine. All I need is a guardian. I mean, I could put a boss one in there, but I think it would just be for sponges. So, there we go. And then we can drop our guardian, our first guardian into there. So, I wouldn't mind maybe having another guardian, but then again, I think, step out for a second, and there's like a bunch more nautilus shells. He's getting a lot of nautilus shells. And just wait until we have more Drygmes. Because I've just got the one right now, but I can get more easily once I get my moose set up. Which I need to do that actually real quick. But that'll give us our prismarine stuff coming in, which will be great. because that way I can use it for building, and I know we're going to need it for living rock. I may end up getting another guardian for this, we'll see. But I want to see kind of the rates that we have them coming in, and then we'll maybe make an adjustment there. But if not, I'll have that space open for another fish. I do need to name it real quick, though. There we go. Quills the Guardian. And, of course, we can do all of our farm animals in this as well. And this is why I haven't set up our egg farm, because I'm wanting ostriches. I'm wanting to do ostrich eggs, and I'm wanting to have our animals in here with the Drygme, because then we're getting their drops as a byproduct, so all of our farms can be multi-purpose for things like eggs and wool and stuff. Okay, we've got Bullwinkle moved over here, and if we take a look inside of here, I have set this up to a collection radius of 4. So anytime that he does shed his horns, they'll get collected by the hopper down there. I don't think there has to be 2 moose to get them to shed their horns. I think they just shed it. But if horns aren't coming in after it runs for a little bit, because it is slow. But if horns aren't coming in, then I'll put another moose in. But I think they can shed it with just 1. It's not super fast with just 1, but I don't want a ton of animals kind of bogging down the system. So I'm gonna have the one moose. But if we take a look inside of here, you can see we've generated a decent amount of prismarine, but I'll have to wait and see once we scale it out, because once we have enough moose antlers coming in, probably after I wake up, I want to bump it up to like 5 Drygmes. That's what I've got Thief's Hoods for, is 5 at the moment, and then we'll kind of see how things are going. We'll probably have to scale it out a bit for lava production, you know, a little bit more, but I'll have to wait and see once we get our other Drygmes going, and once we get enough honeycombs and beeswax coming in, because right now we're tapped out on beeswax. You can see I've got 1 in the system, and I just looked, I've got about 260 woody honeycombs, so I do need to bump up bees a little bit, basically get another apiary up and running with another woody and maybe like a vanilla bee, because they're really good for honeycomb production. And then we kind of get to collect mobs in here whenever they come up. You know, I'll probably add skeletons to this, and we just get to add mobs as they come up, and we're going to be getting experience. We're going to be getting mob drops. It's not as fast as spawners, but it's going to be a lot more performance friendly than spawners, and it's a lot more interesting than bees. Plus, it's making us lava, which is good. So, actually, we're about to see it run. There we go. Now it's just a matter of scaling out, and at this point, I've been kind of pushing through these last 3 episodes to get this automation in place, because now we have auto crafting that needs to be scaled out, storage is set and needs to be worked on. Basically just put away where they go, because I've just been kind of dumping things a little bit, because it's been a little bit hectic getting all this set up. And we're in a good position to be able to start building, because I've got lots of wood. You know, I can make framed blocks to do like framed pillars and framed things in places, and make tables and stuff like that. So at this point, I'm going to take probably a couple days. I got a lot of footage from other series. I've got to catch up on editing, and I've got to basically scale out our automation, do a bit of building, and do a bit of organizing things. And I'm just going to be automating really, really basic stuff, you know, making additional plates, making crafting recipes with our mechanism stuff, and getting that so that we can order more crafters, getting it so we can order pipe modules that we use a lot, stuff like that. Really basic things that'll speed our lives up. And next episode, whenever we come back, we will be setting up for steel, and maybe pushing through a little bit of blood magic to make our corporeal system a bit better. And we'll probably start automating little odd and end things here and there as we go on. So try to squeeze in a little automation each episode or 2, you know, because we've got a lot of like little things that need to be automated, stuff like cave roots and corundum, and start automating Botania and R's and stuff like that. So, but anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed the episode. If you did, as always, be sure and hit that like button and go ahead and subscribe if you're not already, to stay updated with when new videos come out, and I hope to see you guys next time. Also, before I say goodbye, before I forget, we're actually going to be putting our masticator in this cage, and we will be putting a wither in, but I'm going to wait till we have illumination wand. And you want to be kind of weary. We don't want our Drygme to get blown up by sort of the AoE blast that the Wither has. So just stuff to bear in mind. But we can run bosses through this, and we will be. And I'll probably spruce up the cages a bit. Those are just kind of temporary holding pens. So anyways, I hope to see you guys next time. Until then, as always, do take care, stay safe. I'll see you guys then.